name is Sandra, host of Boss Lady Live, where I come to you every Monday night with experts to discuss issues of crime and violence, love and relationships, health and wellness, various different topics that affect us right here in Jamaica. Please like and share and subscribe. Click on the notification bell to be advised when you're on. See you then. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Boss Lady Live. It is my pleasure to be here this evening once again to bring you the information that you not necessarily want, but that you need. This evening, we're speaking about achieving your own home. Now, who does not want to have their own home? I am sure everyone that's viewing tonight would love to achieve their own home. However, many times persons think that they cannot achieve their own home. Not because they can't, but because they do not have the right information. They don't seek the information to prepare themselves and to plan to achieve your own home. So tonight, Boss Lady Live brings you not just experts, but people who love what they do. Tonight, we have Jamaica National, we have National Housing Trust, we have Andrew James, who's a Realtor, and we have Kameika Fullerton who is not only a Realtor, but tonight, we are focusing on her being a lawyer, a real estate lawyer. So all the, all the experts that can help you to achieve that dream. So we're going to start here tonight. So we're going to start. I want to introduce you to my first guest from Jamaica National. Her name is Petal James. She's a JP, she has her MBA and her BBA, and she is Chief of Branches at Jamaica National Bank. A professional banker, with more than 20 years experience in the industry. Ms. James joined the Jamaica National family in 2016 as manager. Mortgage sales following the transformation of the Jamaica National Building Society to the Jamaica National Group in 2017. Ms. James was promoted to head of mortgage sales of the newly established JN Bank. Now there's a lot more about Ms. James, but she'll tell you a little bit about herself shortly. The next person in line we have is Mr. Dwanyne Berbick. Now, Dwanyne is at NHT, and Mr. Dwanyne Berbick joined the National Housing Trust in 2013 and serves as the Trust's Corporate and Public Affairs Manager. He also serves as a member of the Management Committee with oversight for Emancipation Park. As the Corporate and Public Affairs Manager, he has responsibility for the company's communication strategy, digital marketing, and stakeholder relations. He's also tasked with the development of initiatives aimed at achieving desired outcomes aligned to the organization's strategic plan. He will also tell you a little bit about himself, as we want to know the persons behind who we are speaking to. Next in line, we have Mrs. Kameika Fullerton, and Kameika is an attorney at law and managing partner of the law firm Fullerton, and Co., which specializes in conveyancing and estate administration. In her 20th year, although she looks like about 22, in her 20th year as an attorney, she is also a licensed real estate dealer and broker associate at Remax Jamaica. She is a former director of the Realtors Association of Jamaica with over a decade. Sorry, let me turn that off. With over a decade of experience in real estate sales and rentals. And last but by no means least, we have Mr. Andrew James from A.S. James and Associates. Andrew Samuel James is an experienced valuation surveyor, land economist, never heard that term before, and Realtor, who is also the founder, owner, and managing director of A.S. James and Associates Limited, a full-service real estate company which opened its doors in 2004 as a sole proprietorship and later transitioned into a limited liability company. And he also will tell you a little bit more about himself. Now we have the experts. As I tell you every week that you join me, I know we have a lot of peepers, but I'm asking you, please. We bring the experts to you that you can ask your burning questions. You can get the information that you need, and you can ask any question. There's no question that is, I like to say, no question that's stupid, no question that's foolish. Ask anything that you want to ask, obviously at the appropriate time, and you can also indicate who you are directing your questions to. So we'll start with Jamaica National. With 1 second. And
here's how JN Bank DYM Express can help you relax in the comfort of your own home sooner. Get started. Meet your loan officer. Get pre-approved. Check documents. Complete and submit your loan application. And soon you can move in thanks to JN Bank DYM Express, 30 days or less. Let's talk.
You hear that? 30 days or less. Petal, welcome.
Thank you, Sandra. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hi, Dwayne. Hi, Kameika. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Petal.
Thanks for having me, Sandra.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you do what you do.
Mortgage and helping persons to own a piece of this rock. It's a passion for me, as you were told.
Yes.
But having oversight of the branches, I also have oversight of the mortgage sales process at JN Bank, formerly JNBS. I love what I do because it gives you a sense of gratification and, how you walked someone through the process of owning their keys to their own home. When they feel good, then you and your staff feel, elated, especially when they perhaps, were going through a rough time, And so when they would have, gone through the entire process, some persons believe it's a very difficult process. It's not a very difficult process. Once you have, an expert walking you through and hand in hand through that process. But when the applicant or the member, tells you that they have moved in, or that they're ready to sign their mortgage deeds, it gives you a sense of that you have done something good, to help someone to achieve one of their biggest dreams or one of the biggest investment that they could make. Some persons believe that they can't own a home, they're not earning enough, and that's a big myth. Right. It doesn't matter how much you earn, is really how much you can put aside for planning ahead for that day when you would want to own your home. And that's why I love what I do. And I am always willing to guide persons once they come to me or my team. The end result is for them to own their home. JN Bank is one of the leading it's the leading mortgage provider in Jamaica. We are the experts in mortgage, and we have been in the business for 140 years. We're 140 wow. years in the business. So I'm sure if you do a survey out of 10, perhaps 8 would tell you they would have come to JN Bank for their mortgage, you know. So that's what I love. Even though I'm in the branch network, managing and in the retail loans, my passion is really, you know, the mortgage process and persons owning their own home. Yeah.
Awesome. And I myself got my first mortgage from Jan way back in 1991. And I must say it was, even then,
Yes.
it was easy is relative, right? But it was not, there was no trauma. Let us put it that way. There was no trauma in the process.
Yes.
And so I purchased it with NHT and yourselves.
Joint
That time
financing.
he was only giving $110,000. So you know how far we're talking.
Dwayne, you hear that?
Then you're saying the new figures now, right? But back then it was only $110,000. But then my apartment was $440,000.
Oh my.
So, and with escalation, it went to 560. So I can also speak as a client and a customer of JN, that the process and the people there are also very friendly, and it was a good experience. So now we are going to introduce our next guest, or should I say he's going to speak to us. But before that, let's just get a word from NHT.
The National Housing Trust brings you improved services online at any time, any place. Find out how much you can borrow. Check your contributions. Apply for refunds. Check mortgage. Make payments and much more. That's NHT Online. Download at the App Store and Google Play Store or log on to online.nht.gov.jm. The National Housing Trust Online.
Yes, that's a whole lot of information. Dwayne, over to you.
Hi, Sandra. Very good evening to you, and a very good evening to Petal, Andrew, and Kameika. I could say ditto to all that Petal said, but let me dig a little deeper and see what else I can come up with. At the NHT, we have a mantra that says, my house, my home, my life. And I think that somewhat, or not somewhat, that very much encapsulates what housing is. Quite often we've defined it and narrowed it rather to the four walls and the roof. And it's far more than that. It's an investment. It is security. It is peace of mind. It is comfort. It is a legacy that you can pass on for generations to come. And it's one of the fastest ways of building generational wealth. That many times we save the money under our mattress, we save it in the bank, but the turnover is not as great as an investment in housing. And you know, Sandra, I'm a communicator at heart. So yes. I think that my role in this whole housing industry is to bring the information to persons. I can really echo Petal's sentiments that oftentimes persons think it's hard without having done the research, having made any checks to say, Absolutely. You know, whether or not it's possible. Many times we've limited ourselves and say, you know, enough for me that's for rich people. When there are a host of products, there are a host of services, there are a host of institutions like Jamaica National, the NHT, and persons like Andrew and Kameika who are there to guide individuals through the process. And if only we would just step out and start somewhere. And oftentimes too, within that context, we set a particular goal and we set ambitions and we say, okay, that's what I want. But sometimes you have to get down to reality. And that's part of my job, is to bring the sobering reality. Sometimes that, yes, the 3-story, 6-bedroom, 5.5 bathroom, it's beautiful, it's lovely, it's fantastic, and I want it for you. But guess what? You're not there yet. Yes. You're at the 1-bedroom or you're at the studio, and start there. And I know sometimes a lot of persons say, okay, this is what I want. This is a dream home I want. The dream sometimes is not ideal at the moment. So my message is always start where you are. Andrew will tell you real estate appreciates in value year on year. The $5 million studio you buy today, or the $10 million unit you buy today, tomorrow, literally next year, it's no longer valued that amount, is valued far
Absolutely.
more. So start where you are, and Andrew, Kameika, Petal, myself, Sandra, we're all here to guide you along the journey.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So next we have Kameika. Kameika is our real estate lawyer tonight. So Kameika, just tell us a little bit about your whys. Why are you even interested in helping these people to get their own home?
Thanks.
And what's your role?
Evening viewers and my esteemed panelists. I asked Sandra this question and she hasn't answered me. I'm an attorney and you're asking me questions. I could take 2 days.
But I also know you have a conscience.
So my why in terms of entering real estate, I really just happened upon it. Having qualified, my first job was at the Land Administration and Management program called LAMP, then MD now. And I was based at the titles office. And in my experience there, at both places, I saw how important it was, and how I saw the sheer joy that persons felt when they were able to own their homes, whether through purchase, whether through the title, the registered title being issued. And that was a fantastic feeling. Got the opportunity to start my own firm very early, where I represented developers and private clients, as in individual purchasers and sellers. And I won't say that they're monetary compensation, but the gratification, like Petal, that I get.
You're breaking up a little, Kameika.
Hearing me?
Yeah, in and out.
Wow, not sure why.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, the gratitude, aside from, of course, there's a financial aspect, the gratitude, being able to help people achieve their dreams, that in and of itself, that is worth more than any money could pay for. So being able to help them through what is perceived as a difficult process, that the gratification you get from that, I think Petal pretty much said it. That is what has kept me going for these 2 decades in the practice.
Okay, great. And then again, we're going over to A.S. James and Associates. But before we take Andrew, just a little word from A.S. James and Associates. Alrighty, so you are all over Jamaica, Andrew. You have a few branches all over. I'm not hearing you. Unmute.
Greetings, one and all.
Greetings. I'm hearing you now.
Okay.
Great.
To all panelists and to your viewers, I want to say greetings, and it's good to be here. Happy to share the good news. You know, indeed, our mantra at Ace James and Associates is securing your future with real estate, and that's what we're all about.
Awesome. Short and spicy. So let us just get into the meat of the matter, and we'll go right back to Jane. So, Petal, what is the normal process time for a mortgage?
Well, first of all, Sandra, I want to lay the foundation a bit,
right,
for our listeners or viewers tonight. And I'm happy that you are on the World Wide Web, you're on YouTube, and we cater to persons also in the diaspora. So if you're overseas and you want to purchase a property here in Jamaica, you're able to do so through JN. If you're overseas and you would have continued to pay your NHT as well, you can also benefit from your NHT contributions through the joint financing program once you're compliant, 52 weeks or more. I know Dwayne will get into that. But just to lay the foundation before we go into process, what I want to advise our viewers tonight, that before you start looking into real estate, you have to start planning ahead. Planning is very, very important. It's just like if you're going to go back to school. You will never ever get up today and say you'll start school tomorrow. You're going to have to apply, go through admissions, and pay your tuition. It's the same thing. If you're going to purchase a home, it's a huge investment. It's a long-term investment as well. And so proper planning ahead is very, very critical in this process. And so putting together your savings way ahead. So if you want to purchase a home, say next year, Sandra, it's best to start planning from now. And that planning process involves
freezing. Oops. Froze. You want to come off and come back on? You're frozen. Yeah, come off and come back. Okay, I'm seeing you. Hearing me?
Andrew, you're hearing me, Sandra?
Yes.
Right. I'm so sorry about that. Some of us, we want to, as Dwayne said, we want the house on the hill, but where we are now is that small 1 or 2 bedroom, and so we have to guide. And so the first process in looking to purchase a home is to get pre-approved. That's a pre-approval process, and that's where Andrew comes in as the realtor, because without this pre-approval process, Andrew will not look at you because he's going to look after someone else who is pre-approved. And so that's the first process, because you, Sandra, you don't know what your pocket can take right now. Right. And so you don't want to start going up to the hill, and you don't want to start viewing a house on the hill, but then your pocket right now can't manage the the 35 million or the 40 million,
just a minute. I think a part of the problem, Petal, is that everyone wants to live in their first home.
Yes.
Not thinking that they can buy their first home as an investment.
Yes.
First. And then down the road they can sell back and then use it as seed money or refinance or whatever. Right. So that's what I want you to address that.
Right. But your first home is also an investment, because as Dwayne mentioned earlier, you buy that property today for say 6.5 million. And when Andrew goes there next year, depending on the marketability, what's happening in the area, that property might go to 7.5. That's another 1 million equity that you have gained in this kind of investment. So even though it is owner occupied, it is something that you'll be living in now because of the type of security or the investment that you have just made. And by its own nature, it is going to appreciate, because that's the kind of market Jamaica is in right now, right? So it is important for the pre-approval process, because you also, Sandra, don't want to go and think that you can only get a $5 million property when you can get one for 12. And so that's where you mark up your investment, because if you buy it for 12, come next year it might be 13. You understand? So the pre-approval process, and that process is very easy. It's cheap. It is free of cost, not cheap. It's free of cost at JN. It's free of cost everywhere. And so we collect your income information. We look at your debts, and we look at what your threshold is and say, hey, based on your age, based on the interest rate that we offer now, you can be qualified for say 25 or 30. And that also includes, if it is your first home, the NHT maximum amount, if your salary can take that amount as well. So that's the first process. The next process is when you would have been pre-approved, the realtor will now ask you for this pre-approval letter. And what the pre-approval letter does, it gives you some leverage, Sandra, to negotiate price, right?
Yes.
Because remember, it's not you alone going after this property, It's about hundreds of persons going after this property. So when you come with your pre-approval letter, you're telling Kameika in her capacity as a realtor, and you're telling Andrew that you are ready for this property. Now, when you show up without your pre-approval letter, they're going to say that you're not ready because you don't know where you stand with this property, right? And so they don't want to be wasting their time with you who don't know where you are, where you stand. They can now start looking at someone else who came with their pre-approval letter and who is ready to make an offer. Right. And in making that offer, look at the value of the property to see if the value looks like the price, because you don't want to be buying something that is, and the value is way below price. You want to kind of look at the price and and so you want to make an offer. Some realtors or some vendors ask you for 5, they ask you for 10. Rarely you see 15%. So I want to tell our listeners tonight, before you start looking to purchase a property, look at savings up about 20% of the market value or selling price, whichever one is lower. So say the property is for 20 million, right? Look at saving at least $2 million to take care of the deposit and your closing costs. That's the first step into buying your home. Saving is very important. Reducing your debt, especially your high interest paying debts, your high loans because you don't want to be going into buying a property and you have, all these different debts. You want to now start focusing on your mortgage, So that's the process that you want to start off with, and then you make your deposit with your vendor. You sign a sale agreement, and then you come on into JN Bank to take out your mortgage with NHD through the joint financing program, and the other portion, if needs be, through JN Bank.
All right. So pick with one Dwayne now to pick up now. She says we're going to go joint now. So let us know now about the NHD portion of it now. How do we qualify? How do we ensure that our employers are paying it over if they're drawing it from our salaries, that kind of thing? How much is available to us, and who can we join with to buy a property?
All right, let me see if I can unpack all of that real quickly, because that could take me all night. But firstly, to qualify for your NHD benefit, you would have to be contributing to the NHD for a minimum of 52 weeks, 1 year. And that doesn't have to be 52 continuous weeks. It can be broken up. So it can be, say you work 6 months this year, you work 6 months last year. As long as we're able to account for 52 weeks of contributions, then you would initially qualify for your NHD loan.
How much that comes per pay? What percentage?
So it's 2% that's deducted monthly for what we call PAYE persons. So those are individuals who are employed to a company. The company deducts 2% and remits that to the NHD. You mentioned how you want to make sure that is happening. The NHD, thankfully, in this age of technology, has a mobile app. You can always go on and you can check what contributions have been paid over on your behalf. If something doesn't look right, reach out to us and we will do the necessary investigations to find out what is happening. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's your employer that has not paid over your contributions. It could be a simple error, like a incorrect spelling of name, incorrect NIS, incorrect TRN. So we have to do that investigation to find out what is happening. And if something is really amiss, we guarantee you the privacy in our investigations, that we'll make some checks. We won't say, Sandra, call and report you. No, we will do the checks with your employer, do our audits, and find out what is happening and recoup those funds on your behalf. So having satisfied that basic eligibility of 52 weeks, there are some other requirements. You must be between the ages of 18 and 70. You must be earning at least minimum wage. And an important factor, Petal sort of addressed it earlier as well. is we also look at your affordability. I know many times individuals say, "Me throw my NHT, I'm a warm a 6.5." Yes, the NHT is there to work for you, but of course, remember the NHT is giving you a loan, and a loan is contingent on your ability to repay. So the 6.5 loan limit per applicant, 13 million if you co-apply with someone else, you're not necessarily guaranteed it. The NHT will give you as much as your salary can afford. In fact, there are instances where we go beyond 6.5 actually, where we're looking at NHT developments now. NHT goes as far as 100% financing. Again, subject to affordability because it's a loan. It would be foolhardy for Petal or myself to say, yeah, man, you qualify for a $10 million mortgage when your salary is saying something else. We will give you the mortgage this month, and next month you're immediately in default. So it's financially responsible, not just for the institution, but for the individual as well, to ensure that the mortgage that the individual is taking up is within their ability to repay. So once we get past that of determining affordability, eligibility, as I said, NHT is 6.5 per applicant, 13 million if you co-apply, and you really can co-apply with anybody.
I was about to ask you that, Dwayne. You can co-apply with anybody?
Any two qualified contributors can co-apply, but of course,
it's only two, or you can do more than it's only two people.
Only two NHT benefit. There's a technicality because some financial institutions will allow more than two persons to combine incomes for a mortgage, but only two of those individuals can use their NHT benefit. But I've seen instances
I have a house already. Can I still use my NHT benefits?
Yes, you can.
Okay. It's not just for first home.
The preference is, as it relates to the full loan limit, is for the first-time borrower. The person who is a homeowner already gets what we call a home improvement loan. So they can make improvements.
Whether they took an NHT loan before or not?
Whether they took an NHT loan before or not. So if you never took a loan from the NHT, but you are a homeowner, you can get funds to make improvements to that existing property. Where you took the loan from NHT, there's a wait period between that first loan and the second one. That period being 15 years for regular individuals and 10 years for public sector workers.
And how much can I get?
Your amount there is reduced to 2.5 million per applicant.
Okay. I have some questions here. Oh, go ahead. Finish first, and then I'll go to the questions.
Right. So we get past determining eligibility, affordability, and then you can get into our joint finance mortgage program, which is a wonderful program we have with Jamaica National and about 9 other mortgage institutions. And it really provides a one-stop shop for the mortgager. So you get your maximum NHT, say you qualify for the full 6.5, and just shows your property for 10 million. You're getting 6.5 from NHT and you're short 3.5. You go into Petal and you say, hey, I would like to be a part of the joint finance mortgage program. I want to get my full NHT benefit, and I want to access the additional amounts from you, JN. So you don't need to come into JN and NHT. You just need to go into one institution, that being the participating institution, JN in this case, and they will reach out to the NHT, secure your 6.5 for you, do all the necessary processing, do all the paperwork, and it's as easy as that. I don't think I'm overselling it, Petal. It's as easy as that. Once you go into that participating institution, you don't have to come into NHT.
What is the interest rate at NHT at the moment?
Our highest interest rate at NHT at the moment is 4%, and that's for persons in our highest income band. That is persons earning $42,001 and above per week. And we go as low as 0% actually. So
Really? Who qualifies for zero?
who qualifies for zero? The person who earns between minimum wage and up to $30,000 per week. All of those individuals qualify for a
Excellent
big fat
information. Didn't know
0%
that.
interest. Pardon?
I didn't know that. I said that's excellent information because I didn't know that.
Yes, so actually when you look at our contributor base, majority of our contributors fall in that group and therefore qualify for a mortgage of 0%. Part of why research and planning is also very important because that makes a big difference when it comes to calculating monthly mortgage payments. I mean, 10 years ago, we were having this conversation, we would be talking about interest rates as high as 20, maybe even 30%. So to be in an environment where you're getting a 0% mortgage, 4 at the highest from NHT, and looking across the housing, the mortgage institutions, I think we average around between 7 and 8%. That's a very, very, very good package you're getting there. You know, so research very important. So you get your NHT portion from us at whatever interest rate, and then Petal will work out a very nice interest rate for you for the remaining 3.5 that you will need. And it's a similar arrangement when it comes to repayment. You don't have to repay the NHT portion at NHT and the JN portion at JN. You make one payment to JN, and we work out on the back end, you know, how much comes to the NHT and how much stays at JN. So it really, our joint finance mortgage program is really that one-stop shop where the individual is able to combine their NHT benefit with additional funding from their other mortgage institution of choice.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so this question is for Petal. What is the process to get pre-approved? What are the requirements, and does the pre-approval process differ dependent on the institution? And then someone else asks, how does individuals in the diaspora get pre-approval?
Okay, thanks for that question, Sandra. The pre-approval process across the institutions in the market is pretty much the same. What we do, we look at your income, how much it is that you earn, and here at JN we look at your gross income, right? So say you are earning, say, 200,000 per month. Just say, for instance, we look at your gross income, and we say all your debts, including the debt that you want to acquire for the mortgage, should not exceed 50% of your gross income, right? So we're saying that your all your debts, we call it your total debt your debt servicing ratio, should not exceed 50% of your gross income. So we look at your debt, we generate your credit report. You know, we have 2 credit bureaus here in Jamaica, CRIF&M and Credit Info. We generate your credit report. That's very important as well, Sandra. Persons would have been taking loans before, facilities, various institutions. Some persons may not have been paying how they're supposed to pay. And so when you're ready to come for your mortgage, that's when we pull your credit report and you see that you perhaps haven't been paying, or you have been paying or have paid. You have closed off. It is still open on your credit report. So it is also telling you where you are with your credit, right? So once we look at your credit report and once we run the numbers, I just want to let you know though, that if you come through JN Bank or any of the institutions and you would have used or want to use your NHT benefit, the loan that Dwayne just mentioned through the NHT joint financing program through a participating company or institution, the same rate that you'd have got if you had gone to NHT is the same rate that you'll get through JN Bank for the NHT portion. So don't think because you're coming to the institution, you get a different rate for the NHT portion. So the same benefits that NHT would have told us on your eligibility letter to say, Dwayne Berbick, 40 years to repay 2%. If you come through JN, it's the same, or the participating institution, you get the same benefit as though you had gone to NHT, right? So
what is the percentage that JN, or there's a varied percentage based on?
Well, right now we offer as low as 6.95 currently. Okay. Right. Okay. So the JN portion will be at the JN rate, and the NHT portion will be at the NHT terms. tenure and interest rate, right? I believe the question here, what are the real costs?
What are the real costs? Heard about the pay down. Is it just 5% or 10%? What are the fees to be incurred, the legal processing? I guess Andrew and, well, Kameika, I'm sure we'll handle the legal part. But,
well, remember, Sandra, in my preamble, I did say if you're purchasing a property, you should look at least saving 20% of your purchase, so what you're purchasing, and that includes your deposit. And I believe that's what the participant is asking. What is the real cost? You're looking at valuation fees. You're looking at survey report fees. You're looking at attorney's fees, and it's 3 attorney's fees you're looking at. You're looking at the vendor's attorney's fees, because in that sale agreement, there's a half cost that you should also look at to share between yourself and the vendor. You're looking at your own purchaser, your own attorney. We advise our clients to have their own attorney, because your own attorney have your best interest at heart. And so you also have the attorney's cost for the institution that you're going through to purchase. So you have 3 attorney's costs to look at, right? And so you have processing fees, you have stamp duty, you have registration costs. So those, so between 20 to 25% of what you're borrowing, including deposit, you should really be looking at for saving.
This question is for Dwayne. Dwayne, Gareth is asking, can individuals in the diaspora contribute to NHT even as a foreign citizen that's a native Jamaican?
Yes, Garth. So the NHT's arrangements extend to our Jamaicans living in the diaspora as well. So those categories of contributors are called voluntary contributors, meaning the NHT acts as once you live and work in Jamaica, you must pay NHT contributions. But in this case, you don't live or work in Jamaica, and so it's optional, hence we call them voluntary contributors. So those individuals can register, make their NHT contributions on a monthly basis. The qualification period is a little bit different. We understand that some individuals migrated before they left Jamaica. So if you paid NHT contributions before you left, then the wait period is a year. If you're a first-time contributor, however, it's 2 years before you become eligible for that loan. But you can pay your contributions, you can register from overseas. We facilitate the process online. You make your payments online as well. And so it's possible. You can always visit our website, www.nht.gov.jm. Look for overseas contributor or voluntary contributor, and you'll find the steps there. A very simple
Is there an actual amount, or it all depends on what does it depend on? How much you pay?
Right. So it's a percentage here, at 3% monthly of their proposed income. And we say proposed income because we understand the dynamics overseas may be a little bit different. Whereas many of us in Jamaica, we have one job. Persons overseas may have 2, 3 jobs, you know. We're not saying you have to pay a 3% on all that income. So you propose that income because, again, it's voluntary. The Act gives us a little bit of flexibility here. So you declare a proposed income, and 3% of that you're required to pay on a monthly basis.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Andrew, over to you now. So we see this house. I see this house up Cherry Gardens, and I come to you and I say, Andrew, this is what I want. Take me from there.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say to you, I'm going to give you Petal's number, her straight line number, to call her, because we want to ensure that I'm not wasting your time, you're not wasting my time. Okay? So Petal will then give you a nice little letter, which you'll take back to me, so I'll know, guess what, you qualify for this amount. Then we're going to have a conversation. Because what I don't want for you to say to me, I want a house in Norbrook, or I want a house in Cherry Gardens. We need to have a discussion. What is important to you? Is it the kitchen? Is it that you need a walk-in closet? Is it that you need spacious bathrooms? Depends. So each person's taste is different. So you need to sit down with the family. If it's a husband and wife, like for example, if it's a couple is coming to buy a property from me, I'm not going to show the husband one day and the wife another day. I'll wait until both of you are available and we go to the property together, right? So it's important to have that discussion, find out what is important. I like to share this story. Some time ago, a client came and he was in the market for over a year, and then someone introduced him to me. And after talking to the young fellow, I realized what was important. Everybody was showing him a nice 2-bedroom apartment and so on. That wasn't what was important to him. What was most important to him was covered parking. His vehicle was the most important thing. He told everybody he wants an apartment to live. But guess what? He wants underground parking. He don't want the sun to burn out his brand new car that he bought. So we need to have that discussion. And that's why I say to people, don't just go to a real estate agent, go to a realtor. Basically, you can have that discussion and you know exactly, you don't waste time, and they can guide you in terms of achieving that goal.
So then you would know, direct me to what I can afford, or you
most
only
definitely.
do specific areas?
No, as I said, you're going to have that discussion. So if you realize first the budget is within a certain price range, then you know the areas, and then you'll basically show that person. So you might find 3 properties, one which might be a little over budget because some people push for what they really want, or you might basically show them within the price range, and so they can make a decision. But throughout that period, you need to just sit down and understand, as was mentioned earlier, the different costs involved. So if it's just a case where you're struggling to find the deposit, then you might have a problem with the closing costs. And then by the time I'd send you over to Kameika now for her to represent you, we realize that, hey, all this time was wasted because we didn't spend enough time understanding the dynamics and what is involved. But it's a very simple process, and the realtor will walk with you, explain to you what is what, and so you don't have any hiccups. 2 things very important when you're purchasing property is your valuation report and your surveyor's report. Very important. Your valuation report is going to ensure, well, for one reason is that Petal is not going to have a discussion with you without, when you go for that loan, without a valuation report and a surveyor's report. Now, the valuation report is going to guide the institution, because remember now, you're taking a loan. The institution don't want to lend you $10 million and to find out the property only value $5 million. So if you should go into debt and you're unable to pay that loan, that institution needs to sell that property to recoup the funds that they gave as a loan. Right. So it's important to get that valuation report. There are persons who go ahead and buy properties and find out, hey, I paid too much for the property. And when they're ready to sell, they can't recoup the loss. It's a loss. So it's important to get that valuation report. The next thing is the surveyor's report. Again, Petal will not have a discussion with you if when you find a property, you find out that, hey, there was a breach. You find out that, and what I mean is like, you're too close to the boundary line, and I'm sure Kameika is going to take.
Somebody put on an addition that was not.
Yes, that wasn't approved. And right. So what you find is that sometimes a sale, we like to talk about sale taking a long time. What happens some of the times is that these are some of the issues that come back to haunt you later on. So it's important when you're purchasing that you ensure, even if you're buying cash, get your surveyor's report, get your valuation report.
Tell us a little bit about the different types of sale. I know you have open market, I know you have auction, all right. Those. Yeah. What are the various different types, and what are the benefits and the disadvantages of any or all?
Okay, sure. So you have the open market where Sandra have this nice apartment up by Norbrook, and she want to sell it because she want to upgrade from a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom. So she said, put it on the open market. Now you have the other case where the institution might lend you some funds to purchase a property. You're unable to pay that loan for whatever reason. And so the bank has certain steps that they usually follow. So first, they will send the property to auction. So you can get good deals at auction, right? If the property is not sold at auction, then the bank sometimes takes it now to the private treaty, where it is advertised and you have realtors and everybody trying to sell the property at that time. If the property is not sold at private treaty, then it goes now to foreclosure. That's when the bank will now transfer the property in their name and sell the property. That's usually where you get good deals, right? So there are different types, and it's important that you have an open mind, because there are persons who will say, I'll never buy a property at auction. But guess what? Sometimes even when you buy a property on the open market, when you buy it, you're going to go in, you're going to change the kitchen, you're going to change the bathroom. So why not take that chance and buy it at auction? You're still going to do the changes anyway. And chances are you get a better deal buying it at the auction.
Is there a disadvantage of buying a property that is in foreclosure?
Disadvantage is that sometimes you might have an issue of not getting vacant possession, and that might be a challenge.
Problem because the people don't want to come out.
Yes.
They might get into some legal wranglings.
You might have to take them to court to get them out. But again, if you have an attorney like Kameika, you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. All right. Fine. I still come back to you again. So Kameika, over to you now. So it's your time. So we have the we have identified the property. We're now looking at the mortgage, and now we need a lawyer. What do we need a lawyer for?
All right. I want to take the opportunity, if you'll allow me, to touch on some of the costs. Well, it actually is.
Sure.
And one of the things the lawyer will help you to understand is the costs involved. Some people may have been heard Petal say 20 to 25% is what you have to have down. Now, it depends on the circumstances. The property, the closing costs in terms of the sale itself, the stamp duty, the registration fee, and the two of the attorney's fees that you're talking about, those add up to about 5%. So you're talking about the sale price and then 5% of that. If you're going solely through NHT, and Dwayne can correct me if I'm wrong, the additional costs would be rolled into their service charge, so you don't have to take any money out of pocket for that loan. So let's say both of you have come together to buy a property for 6.5 times 2, that's what, 13 million. If NHT is covering the mortgage, you really only need your 5% for the closing costs and your 5 to 10% for the deposit. You try and negotiate the lowest deposit possible. So it is possible then to get, depending on the scenario, to only have an outlay of, say, 10%. But your lawyer will help you work through those things. And this is where you'll be frank. You come and you say, this is actually what my situation is. And your lawyer will help you to factor in the different things. Some people forget sometimes the reno budget, the budget for renovations. If you are buying a property that's not new or that's not ideal, and there's certain things you want to do to make it suit you, you have to have that money in hand too. And when Andrew has done the valuation, if the valuation indicates that there are some things that must be done, some adjustments that must be made, you must have a kitchen, the bathroom must be brought up to standard, then you'll be required to do those in order for the loan to be approved. So you might find that you have to either have that money in hand, or you have to be able to get a further loan to be able to cover those things. So I like to say, get your lawyer in place early, even before you before you make the offer, because the lawyer can help you to determine whether this is an appropriate offer. We guide you through the entire process. If you have retained a qualified and experienced real estate attorney, then that person has enough experience to be able to help you through the entire process from inception, agreeing the right terms, helping with things like the valuation and survey. You don't have to be bouncing up and down and finding it on your own. A good realtor might direct you there. A good attorney is going to direct you there as well to help you to get the valuation and the survey report. And we discuss, when do you do it? It may be better to do it at the start. It may be better if the property is hot. You may not be able to wait that week or 2 weeks. So you understand what your risks are when you get involved in a sale. When you sign a sale agreement before you've done those, it's ideal to do it before, but time may not allow you. Understanding the deficiencies that were raised in the different reports, understanding what that valuation report has said. Don't just look at the bottom line figure, but look through things like the state of repairs, because that's going to be important for your mortgage. Look through things like the time, the remaining, the life expectancy, basically. How long will the property expect to be around? If it's only going to last for another 10 or 20 years, then it affects how long you have to repay your loan and therefore how much your monthly payment will be. You don't have to be caught off guard when you go into the mortgage company. A good attorney, a good real estate attorney is going to be able to read those things with you, point out these things to you. We're going to, of course, guide you as to the process. And the process, while largely the process is the same, there are different nuances depending on the type. Andrew spoke about the auction, private treaty. If you're buying a house that already exists as opposed to a new construction, there are different discussions to have. There are checks, pre-contract inquiries that you need to make, things you need to do, check out before you actually sign the contract, because once you do, there's some money to be lost. Having an attorney negotiate the best terms. Some will say, oh, it's a new construction, so I can't negotiate. No, that's not true. You can get an attorney who can negotiate better terms for you, even with a auction property. There are certain things that can be negotiated, and even if there are things that cannot, you want to understand it so you make an informed decision. You're not just trying to buy the place and blindly trying to buy the place. Just like was said before, sometimes we tell you things you do not want to hear.
Right.
Based on the reports, based on the things, we may have to tell you this may not be a property. These are your risks. These are the ways you can mitigate them, but there are some things you can't do. So a breach, somebody will want, I want it. It don't matter the breach, I want it. You know, some people will want to hide the breach, especially if they're buying in cash. They say the breach doesn't matter. But depending on the nature of the breach, sometimes it's a quick fix. Sometimes it's very difficult. The nature of the breach could require you to knock off a portion of the property, of the building. It may be that you saw and thought was this expanse of backyard. Only a quarter of it is really yours because the wall was. Yeah. So you find things like that. You're unprepared to deal with it because you didn't expect it. You don't know what to do about it. You don't know your options. Not every breach means you have to draw brakes. Some mean you just slow down. It's an orange light. You just slow down. Some people may be willing to take the chance to deal with a breach. But then it will have an impact on you being able to sell back property later on. And I have a lot of clients who say, no, this is my forever home. No, I don't intend to move. You never know what might happen, and you might want to sell that property. Your circumstances might change. You be a family of 4 and you have twins, or something happens and you need to sell. What do you name now? Rex and Bruno might file for you to come Canada with them. If there's a breach, you're going to have a selling the property later on, or it could cost you. The section that is being knocked off may have added so much value that when you're now required to remove it in order to sell it, the property isn't worth that much after all. So the lawyer is there from the start to guide you, to help you, to do some value added in terms of telling you the kinds of searches. Depending on the state of the property, you might have to get as well a structural engineer's report to make sure that the structure is sound. So you don't want to be caught off guard when you have already signed a contract where there are penalties when you move out. You want to know exactly what you're going into. You want to know all the risks. You want to know how you can manage those risks. And that's why you need an attorney. Even the mortgage process. Some people don't understand it and they go in and they just sign, but they didn't really understand what the process entailed. They didn't understand what would have been required of them before, during, and after. So a good real estate attorney is going to guide you through the entire process from start to finish when the keys are in your hand. And if it's a new development, where typically you get 6 months after the development is completed to be able to report any issues, a good real estate attorney is going to stay with you during those 6 months as well, so that if there are any issues the developer needs to fix, they can lobby for you and represent for you during. So the realtor's cost is the best cost ever for a purchase. It's free. You don't pay anything. It is absolutely free. Cheap, free is better than cheap. Now, attorney is money well spent if you choose the right attorney, because there's a whole gamut that can be offered as services from an experienced attorney who really knows the industry inside and out.
Speak a little bit about, for example, when the sales agreement, for want of a better word, expires, because you have what, 3 years, say you have 3 months or 9 months to complete the sale, and you don't make that time. Speak a little bit about that for me, please.
There are penalties in the contract, and one of the things you want to look at, and the negotiation of the sale contract, which is an important role of the attorney as well, it will be to allow you to have exits where you can come out for legitimate reasons or even for illegitimate reasons and lose as little as possible. That's where the negotiation comes from. As we say, life happens, things can change. You may have gone in, and I know Petal more so than Dwanyne. Well, Dwanyne has can speak to, you may get that pre-approval, but it doesn't guarantee that you will be able to get the loan, because there are other things that are associated, not just your ability to pay, but the suitability of the property itself, or certain other things. When they've completed their checks, they may realize you cannot qualify for that amount.
So the pre-approval is really only says to you that you can afford X amount.
Yes.
Get you.
If there are issues and the sale cannot be completed within the time, depending on how the contract is drafted, that will determine whether you can come out scot-free, usually not, or whether you just lose a small amount, like what we call a rescission fee, which is probably say 100,000, 150. Or whether you lose your entire deposit. So it really is about how the contract is framed. There is no one answer. It really depends. You want to stay away from contracts that have forfeiture clauses, when there can be things like mortgages that are outside of your control. If that is in there, you lose your entire deposit. But again, there are different ways that they can be negotiated to minimize what you lose.
So really and truly, based on what you're saying, you don't want to move without a lawyer.
You don't. You shouldn't. People will look at it, boy, I can't find that money. And the typical thing is, oh, well, NHT already have lawyers. NHTs are looking out for NHT interest, as with JN. Those interests are not necessarily yours. And the reality is they come in at the end stage, or in the mid stage, I would say. They are not there from the start to negotiate the contract with you. They don't do that. They come in, you've negotiated a contract, signed the sale agreement, and you're now looking to get your approved. So the kind of advice that you would get from, well, they're not advising you. They're advising, they are looking out for their interests, and their attorneys are looking out for their interests. So you need somebody lobbying for you, someone who knows the process to lobby for you.
I want you to touch a little bit about because my experience with Stratas, because I've lived in an apartment complex from 1991, right? And you have issues where you go into a complex, the maintenance fees aren't being paid, and all of those issues. I wanted to touch a little bit about people checking on the payment of if the strata is up to date and all their payments and all of these things. I just wanted to touch a little bit about that.
The due diligence checks that you should be doing, and not everybody. Yeah. There's a proliferation of apartments all over on the market, and people jump to buy into it. Understand that an apartment is communal living. You are sharing this space not just with your family, but with others. And the success of that complex depends on people paying their maintenance. And when they don't, some of the communal features or the light, the water, the amenities, the pool, all these things that you're buying into, they may not work. You may not be able to pay your electronic gate because the maintenance have not been paid. So there are some searches you really should do, either on your own or through your attorney, in terms of seeing if the strata operation is being managed effectively and efficiently. The level of maintenance, of outstanding maintenance, will probably give you a clue. There are laws now in place to allow the strata corporation to take certain steps if persons aren't paying their mortgage, as for an apartment complex. Are they using it? If they are strong and efficient, they're going to use it, sell the person's property if they need to. So you will get a sense of how strong and how well run the complex is when you do certain checks and ensure that they're compliant with the Commission of Strata. You also want to get a sense of whether it is largely owner occupied or tenant occupied, because sometimes that gives you an idea too of the
interest.
Right. The interest, the quality of life, for want of a better term. Is it a short-term rentals? Are there a lot of Airbnb rentals? Then you really don't know what you're into. So whether it's really an apartment or not, even if you're moving into a house, a standalone home, try to know as much about the community in terms of a complex. In terms of an apartment, it's a complex, and as well the wider community. So you have a better understanding of what exactly you're buying. Don't just be blinded by that thing that you're seeing, because it doesn't exist. Those four walls don't exist on their own. You're sharing that space with other people.
Awesome. Okay, we have 1,000,001 questions. So let me just take them one by one. Sheldon is asking, and this is for, I believe it's NHT. Why is it not coming up? Show. Oh, I'm not seeing it. Is it my eyes or is it not coming up? Okay. In terms of buying land to build, how is that handled? Is it directly through NHT, or can this be accessed via another institution? So I suppose either Petal or Dwayne can take that.
Yeah, Petal can address the JN aspect of it where it relates to land, but where NHT is concerned, the NHT, I mentioned earlier, our maximum loan limit of 6.5 million. When it comes to the purchase of land, we break out that 6.5 into two parts, where you get 2.5 per applicant for the purchase of the land, and the remaining 4 million can be used for construction.
Right. Okay, Sandra. I wanted to make the point earlier that when we talk about mortgage, it's not just for a house or for a new development or for an apartment complex that is already built. It's also for construction. You have persons out there who want to build their own property. They have their own taste. They may not want what someone else would have designed and build. And so your joint financing monies that you want to borrow through NHT, it can be also used for building your first home. So construction is also a part of wanting to borrow to acquire your property as well. And yes, you can come through JN through the joint financing program to acquire financing to construct your home as well. Just as the same if you want to buy a property already built on the open market.
Mr. Henry says, does NHT still build houses? Rumor has it that the government has reduced that ability.
A rumor that is steeped in fallacies. In fact, the NHT is doing far more than the NHT has ever done before. I put it in context. When I started the NHT 8 years ago, the NHT was building about 2,000 houses a year and spending about $16 to $20 billion a year. Our budget for this financial year starting April 1 is $57.7 billion. Woo! And we're projecting to start construction on over 8,000 houses. So the NHT of old compared to the NHT today is doing far greater spending, far more on housing. People talk about our rich asset base of over $300 billion, and I'm proud to say 91% of that is investment in mortgages. So that's either people's houses that they're paying mortgages for or construction activities in the ground. Currently, we have over 40 projects underway across about 12 parishes. Off the top of my head, I can probably think of only 2 parishes that we don't have construction going on, in Portland being one of them, and probably St. Mary's. If you have land out there and you want to sell us, we'd gladly buy it to do some construction there. But NHT has ramped up its housing program. March ending, we would have delivered over 23,000 housing starts between 2016 and March of 2021. So no, that's a rumor.
Okay, and to answer your question, Mr. Henry, I believe the 2.5 is for renovation. That's not
home
that's
improvement, exactly.
Home improvement. He was asking what can 2.5 million buy, and so I'm just reminding him that that is for renovation, not to purchase. Mr. Reed is asking if a person makes 100K in US dollars, can they qualify for NHT still?
Can qualify, definitely, and Petal will lend you a decent sum of money to go along with that as well. So yes.
You hear that, Gareth? You hear that? Do I need a real estate lawyer, or does JN deal with the lawyer on your behalf? No, I think Kameika made it very clear that the JN lawyer is looking at JN's business. So you need your own lawyer to look about your own business. Then is the realtor a buyer client or a seller client? I don't know what that means. Do you understand what he means, Andrew? I guess he probably is asking if it's you're more for the buyer or for the seller. Is a realtor more for the buyer or for the seller?
The realtor actually have a responsibility to get the best price for the seller, and on the other hand, the realtor is actually have more options to show the purchaser, so he can make an informed decision in terms of the way forward.
Okay.
Can I just jump in on?
Yes.
Sure.
Just to point out that there are 2 sides to a transaction. There's the listing agent and the selling agent. So the listing agent who lists the property on behalf of the seller isn't necessarily the person who will find a buyer. So you can have a transaction where there is a listing agent, the person who the owner gave the property to list on the market, and you have a separate realtor who I knew already that you were looking for a $20 million property, and say Andrew just listed one, so I can take you to that property. So there can be 2 in the transaction, in which case you could properly say one is for the seller and one is for the...
Okay, great. In real terms, a $12 million house requires $3 million in the bank? That was a question. In real terms, they want to know, let's say you want a $12 million house. How much money would they have to come up with?
12 million?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
Well, where we did say that the vendor is going to ask for either 5 or 10%. I haven't seen 15% Kameika in a while because the financing companies are giving up to 95% financing, 97% in some cases. So if you pay down 5%, which is, if it's 12 million, 5% will be what? 10% is 1.2. 5% is 600,000. Is it?
600,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did say earlier, and for 12 million, you wouldn't probably need even 20% to deposit and closing costs. You're looking at perhaps 15-18% in total. So you wouldn't need $3 million in savings unless you're planning to do to buy new furniture or to do something else on the property. But Kameika made a point earlier for doing NHT when you would have qualified for your, whether you're 6.5 million or 6%. NHT also gives offers you an additional 5% to take care of any additional costs as well, and that's rolled into I believe that's what Kameika spoke about. Additional costs to take care of, whether legal fees or to purchase furniture, whatever it is. NHT gives you that additional 5% along with the maximum benefit that you would have been qualified for. So that's another 5% I would take as 0%, right, Dwayne, or 2%.
Or 4 at the highest.
or 4 at the high, which is still very good because 4% is still a good rate from NHT.
Right.
There's also this.
And on that point, Petal, I want to add as well, another facility that the NHT has that assists with some of these costs associated with the purchase, called the CRTD for short, contribution refunds towards deposit.
Right.
So every year you get your NHT refund, and we refund a year at a time. In this year, 2021, we're refunding 2013. However, if you're purchasing a house today, the NHT will allow you those refunds not yet due, which would be 2014 up to 2020 or 2019 in this case. NHT will allow you to use those additional 6 years to assist with the deposit, to assist with the lawyers, the attorney's fees, to assist with the valuation report, the surveyor's ID report, and some of those other costs that we would have mentioned before. So a part of that research and that planning as well, when purchasing a house, is to also make a check with the NHT to see how much in refunds you have not yet due that the NHT will make available to you ahead of time. And that will, of course, bridge some of the affordability gap that you may find.
Do you still offer grants at NHT as well for certain sectors?
Definitely. For our lowest income group, that is individuals who earn between minimum wage and $15,000 per week, the NHT gives a grant of $2.5 million. And grant, as its name suggests, is free money. You don't have to repay that portion. You can't get it by itself. I know sometimes persons call and say, Mr. Berbick, we just want the grant. No, you can't get the grant alone. The grant is really to top up your loan amount, because we understand the challenge that our lowest earning Jamaicans have. So once you're earning between minimum wage and $15,000 per week, you've been contributing to the NHT for at least 7 years, you can get $2.5 million free, in addition to a 0% mortgage to make your purchase. And for our public sector workers as well, I tell you, I could talk all night about this, For public sector workers as well, you get a 1% reduction in your mortgage rate. So say you normally qualified for 4. If you're a public sector worker, you would come down to 3. If you're 55 and over and you're purchasing a home for the first time, we give you a 2% reduction. So if you're at 4, you come down to 2. If you're at 2, you come down to 0. And the newest addition we've had, if you have a disability, or if you're a parent of a child who has a disability, you get another 2% reduction in your interest rate. So again, you can come.
Everybody hearing these things. Everybody hearing these awesome assistance that's available to persons that have not sought to they don't even themselves and go down to NH to find out what is needed, or go down to jail to find out what is needed. Yes. People, listen. Owning your own home, it is possible. It is possible. There is a strong possibility. Ask. Right? Just ask. Go down to NHT, go down to JN and ask. Over to you, Kameika. I believe this is for you. Sheldon is asking, what is the difference as it relates to the types of title? Joint tenancy versus, let's say I don't remember what the other one is.
Yes. Okay.
Tenancy in common.
I'm not hearing you.
Are you hearing me any better?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
All right. So Dwayne mentioned that two people can come together and purchase a property. They don't have to be related, any two people. That is excellent. There is, however, the need to get legal advice on the suitability of partner with someone to get this NHT loan. Now, having had that and decided that it's still some problem, you want to look at how you're going to own. Once two or more people own property, you have to decide on how you're going to own. And the difference between a joint tenancy and what you call a tenancy in common is largely seen, not only but largely, on death. With a joint tenancy, when one party dies, the property automatically becomes solely owned by the other, the survivor. So it's the law of survivorship. So both of you are joint tenants. My husband, God forbid, dies before me, I become the sole owner of the property. It doesn't matter if the person left a will. Once you're joint tenancy, that trumps everything else. The other is tenancy in common, where you have separate shares. Now, this could be 50-50. It could be 70-30. Doing a sale right now with one who is, I think, 80-20. So the tenancy in common can reflect your contribution to the property. And it is useful a lot. It's used a lot with persons who are at arm's length, business partners or siblings sometimes. So the ownership can reflect how you're contributing to the property. On the death of one party, that party's share, be it 50-50, be it at 80%, whatever it is, it goes to their estate. And by their estate, it means if you left a will, it goes a valid will. It goes to whoever you left it to in your will. That's your share goes to whoever you left it to in a will. If you didn't leave a will, then the law comes in and says who should get your property on what you call intestacy. When you die without leaving a will, it's called intestacy. And there are intestacy laws that speak to who should get it. Be it your spouse, children, parents, grandparents, there's a list. That's a whole different topic. So it will go to your estate, whether by virtue of your will or on intestacy. There are, however, other options, which is again why it's important to talk to your attorney and make sure you're making the right decisions. There's one that's perhaps not always or often used, and that's a trust, where you can set up a trust so that the property automatically involved in terms of understanding.
It's still going in and out. This last two sentences.
All right, so the concept of a trust. Tell me when you're hearing me, because I have all.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Right, so there's the concept of the trust or a trust deed, where even though this person's name is on the property, you can have a trust set up. People talk about a trust fund. You can have a trust set up where it's really owned by someone else, but the title reflects one thing. It's a long discussion that you need to have with the attorney about the suitability of that. But that is one option. There's also the option of a life tenancy. A husband, for example, and wife may want to know that it's going to one person, and on their death, it will automatically go to the children. So there's no opportunity for a second spouse to come into the picture and take away. So the suitability of having a co-ownership, it may not suit you. The reason you may want to add somebody to your title may not be a reason that is legally sound. And there may be better ways to protect the interest or to provide for what you want to happen than to add the person to the title. But once you've had that discussion and you've agreed that this is how it must be, then you have the option of joint tenancy, tenancy in common, or some other things that you can discuss with the attorney.
Okay. There is an issue where sometimes a property is left to someone in a will, but because they are not wealthy or they don't have any money, they can't manage the processing or the transfer cost. Is there anything that can be done prior to I don't want to say pending death of the person, that there has to be a transfer? Can there be a smoother transition? than waiting until after death?
There can, but the options may or may not cost. There are instances where I hope it doesn't sound morbid, but it is better for you to allow the person to die and it goes to you, because you may benefit from certain waivers of death duties, as opposed to you try to transfer the property while the person is still alive. It may cost you more. But I spoke earlier about having been employed to LAMP, Land Administration and Management Division, or division of the National Land Agency, where you could get as well a waiver of the death duties and just pay a processing. But it's important to have the discussion. It is not automatic that because you must do it this way. It's one of the things that people think, oh, I must add people to the title. I worked at LAMP, and you realize people want to add all these children, and 20, 100 people can be on a title. But it may not be desirable. It may be cumbersome. There may be other ways. Sometimes it might suit someone, depending on the situation, for the property to actually be sold and everybody get their own money and can go off and, go to Petal and Dwanyne and get their own loan to buy their own property. So again, I'm very involved. There's no right or wrong. It's a very involved discussion that you need to have.
Right. If someone's name is on a property, but that was due to a bequest arrangement, can they access NHT benefits, Dwayne?
In those cases, Sandra, we take those cases on their own merits. Generally, the principle is once you're a homeowner and your name appearing on a title indicates you're a homeowner, generally you wouldn't be eligible for what we call the non-homeowners loan. You will get the homeowners loan. But the NHT does understand that there are instances, some of which Kameika would have just pointed out, where individuals' names appear on titles and it's not of their own doing, but rather through estate planning purposes. And the NHT, children sometimes find themselves in that position where parents put their names on titles and now they become an adult and they want to get a mortgage, and you do a title search and you go, oh, but your name is on a title, you're a homeowner. Generally, we just have a conversation with the individual, find out the circumstances under which their name appears on the title, and have a discussion about their level of interest. Perhaps I live in Kingston and St. Andrew now, and the property is all the way out in Falmouth. I have no interest of moving to Falmouth to live in this house. Really and truly, it was just given to me. I don't have any interest in living there. So we look at these cases on their own merits, and we work out with the contributor and the prospective mortgager to see how best we can assist them.
How is NHT addressing the issue of young adults who cannot benefit from parent assist, having access to housing? Points really wouldn't be on their side.
True. And that's a concern. That's a discussion ongoing inside the NHT that we have. The reality is that when we spoke about the attractive mortgage financing options and the mortgage rates at this time, and the end result of that is that the housing demand is far greater than ever before. Usually, a lot of persons would have put housing on the back burner to say, okay, I can't afford the 20% interest rate or the 30% interest rate, so it's something I hope to do before I die. We're not in that environment anymore. And so we've been having the discussion to see how we can amend our policies, our systems, and our measures to cater to a broader cross-section of Jamaicans who are interested in home ownership and to assist them now. A tool that we have in our toolkit is called a special benefits order, which in simple terms, it allows the NHT to reserve units in every scheme that it develops for certain categories of individuals. So we reserve units for low income earners because for many of them, it's the NHT or nothing at all. We reserve units for our public sector workers. So our teachers, our nurses, our police officers, members of the JDF, we reserve a portion for them as well. And one of the recent additions we've done as well is to reserve portions for our for persons under the age of 40. So our young adults who are interested in home ownership. Yes, the NHT, when it comes to selection of scheme benefits, use a points-based system that favors the individual who has been contributing for longer. Doesn't guarantee them, but yes, it favors them. And we understand that bias. And so we have tried to level the playing field by using that special benefits order to reserve some for young professionals. The reality though, Sandra, demand. When we advertise 300 units
That is great.
and 7,000 persons are applying,
Woo!
300 persons are going to be happy, but 6,000 enough are going to be very upset that they weren't selected. And so Petal will also tell you, Andrew will always also tell you, Kameika as well, that the environment currently requires more than just sitting down, looking at what developments are coming on the market and buying. We have land that has been passing down from generation to generation that nobody is building on. You can do construction. You can buy the land and build. You don't have to wait on something new to come on the market, because new means higher price, naturally. So there are other options that you can look at outside of simply either just sitting down and waiting on an NHT scheme benefit that's very, 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 very extremely competitive, or trying to buy something on the open market. Convert those lands that have been passing down, even if it's not in an area where you want to live, sell it and use the return and buy where you want to. Another other factors is that we want to live as in the capital. And I know everybody wants to live in Kingston and St. Andrew. But what you're going to get for 12 million in Kingston and St. Andrew versus if you go just a little bit beyond Mandela and look at any piece of land out there or any house out there, is probably going to be far more, which is why research comes in, having this discussion, seeing what the options are, so you don't limit yourself to one or two and end up being frustrated about how long this home ownership thing is taking for you.
True. Jane, do you offer mortgages in US dollars? Oh, I can soon come to you, Kameika.
Yes, we do. We do offer mortgages in foreign currency. Of course, we offer mortgages in 4 currencies: Jamaican, US, the British pound, sterling, and Canadian. So yes, we do. Yes, we do offer loans in US currency.
Okay. Kameika, you were saying?
I love the point that Dwayne made a while ago, and I think it's something that people need to understand. A lot of times we have these family lands where the property owned by
No, you're breaking up. Say that again.
You're hearing me now.
Yes.
Right. So there are lots of times there are situations where there's family land out there, but it's not titled, or it's in a great grandmother's name and people just living on it, or you've been living on it for a long time. Just making a plug for the Land Administration and Management Division, that if you can take steps to regularize your ownership and get titles for those lands, just like Dwayne said, fantastic a while ago, you can use your title as security or sell the property to get the seed money to buy whatever else it is that you need. So there are facilities out there that you can use to get that registered title for that property that you've had forever and think, oh, I can't get a title, it's just family land. No, you can. Land Administration and Management Division under the National Land Agency can assist you with that. And from there, you can approach the institute, you can sell it and or approach institutions to use it as security for a loan.
Awesome.
And we have a great relationship with the NLA as well, Kameika, where the NHC will also assist with the financing for you to get unregistered land registered. So that's part of the process as well.
This is like, I mean, I'm so amazed at all this information. I'm overwhelmed. I have to watch this program about 10 times to get all of this information cemented in my brain, because this is excellent news. For persons who have just opened a partnership business and apply for NHT through the business, are they both qualified for separate 6.5 million, or is it one, just one qualification?
Okay, if I understand what the person is saying is you are your own entrepreneur, you are your own business owner, and you've registered with the NHT and you're making your NHT payments, and you want to know, will you be considered individually or
Yes,
together for one? A mortgage, the panel will tell you, is a personal thing, so it would be individual.
Because we don't lend money
Individually
to buy
assessed.
business property, right?
No,
These are
we
the
don't.
full.
NHT is not
Right,
involving commercial, mortgages. It's just for
right,
home ownership.
right.
So, and we would once those individuals who are part of the business are making their NHT contributions, and we have a document called the annual return that indicates that you've made it for all the persons involved in the business. Then yes, the NHT will calculate and consider rather individual mortgages for the persons who wish to access their NHT benefit.
Sheldon is asking, if I did a joint financing arrangement to acquire a home, will I be eligible for the January returns annually, or does the refund cease?
Yes,
Well,
you will be eligible for your return, your NHT refund. And I see Petal jumping in.
well, Dwayne, I believe Sheldon may want to know if you acquire the loan through the participating company through the joint financing program, yes. But if he went through NHT directly, the contribution refund will go directly to his mortgage. So
Right.
that's one of the benefits of borrowing the NHT through the participating institution. So yes, Sheldon, if you went through NCB, BNS, JN, of course, you can get your NHT refund. But if you had gone to NHT directly, you will that contribution refund will go directly to your mortgage.
Except with the case of our public sector workers who
Right.
at the moment are
I know that
eligible
there are
to get it.
exceptions, right?
Right, but you're right, Petal. Otherwise, it would go as a credit to your
Right.
mortgage account. Yes.
Can my annual refunds contribute to my down payment? I believe you had addressed that before, no?
Yes,
We
I
did.
did. So
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, the
You said
refunds
yes, right?
not yet due, right? And the ones that are due, save them. Don't collect it and spend it on something that you can't account for. You get it January 10 when NHT starts making payments, and by January 15 you don't know where that money got to. No, save it with Petal. Putting in a plug for you, Petal. Save it with Petal and save it for
Yes.
for that home ownership goal. And yes, the refunds not yet due, the NHT will allow you to access those to assist with your deposit and some of the other fees.
Okay, so Ladisham is asking, or Ladisham, so is it that if I become a title owner due to inheritance, I would no longer qualify for an NHT loan, though I have never accessed a loan from them?
I believe Dwayne
No.
I believe Dwayne qualified earlier.
Yeah.
If it is that you got through inheritance and the NHT will look at your look at your circumstances, they will be willing to offer you the benefit nonetheless.
Right.
Right.
Can I open a JN account through the US location?
Could what, Sandra?
Can I open a JN account through the US location?
Yes, we currently have gone digital in the US market, and so yes, you can open your account in Jamaica from the US. Yes, you can.
Okay. Boy. So in wrapping, this information is just like awesome, awesome, awesome. I mean, I expected, but I got more than what I anticipated. So what I want to ask the four of you, give me your based on the conversation that we just had. I want to give our viewers 5 takeaways from your area. 5 tips that from this conversation. Next step, what to do, how to do it, how to reach you. Just 5 go-tos, 5 action items. 5 action items. Because what we don't want is when you get up from this talk, to just go back and just be chilling again. We need some action. We need people to start planning. Yes, we're in a pandemic, but I like to treat savings like an expense. We need to think about the compounded effect. If you're saving $5 every day, at the end of the year, you have a tidy little sum. I want also the encouragement for persons, even self-employed people, to start saving towards your NHT and your NIS. I drill it in my staff on a daily basis because it's pointless to work hard all your life, and then when you either retire or something happens to you, you're ill or you're just not well and can't work, there is nothing to collect. At least you have your refund from NHT if you didn't buy the house yet or whatever. And even if you bought the house, you still have something to collect. So we want some action items from each of you before we close off. So I will start with Andrew. Have 30 voice minutes.
Okay, so it's important to make that sacrifice.
Andrew, before you start,
yes.
Tell us where the deals are now, Andrew. Where are the deals? I want to give us an idea of where we can put some nice deals here now.
There's an auction coming up. There's an auction coming up at the end of this month that you should take advantage of. Just go onto the platform, register, and so you can make your bids. As I said, there are good deals there, and you just need to take advantage of it. Okay, but I just want to.
Here I know.
Sorry.
No, I know Old Harbor and
there's some in Montego Bay.
Bernard Lodge. I know those areas are growing. Trelawney. What are some of the areas that are growing that are nice for family?
Well, I mean,
give us some insights, man.
Well, it depends. It all depends on the location, you know. It all depends on the money. It's all about the money.
Yes, yes.
So if you're just starting out,
we're not talking about the 60 million.
Well, Andrew, remember that Colbeck, there's a new development in Old Harbor called Colbeck Manor.
Yes.
That development is just right below the Colbeck Castle, Sandra.
Yes.
Family, it is. You have 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. You have 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. You have 2-bedroom, 1 bathrooms, and they're starting at 13 million. Yes, 13. I believe the 3-bedroom is now at probably 18. You have 17 or 18 million. So you have affordable brand new development. This is in Old Harbor. That's in Old Harbor. The developer is Chemtech.
Just a stone's throw out of Kingston.
Right. So of course you'll have to think about toll or your gas if you're using the Old Harbor main road. But it is a good starting point. To a nice family starting point. So you do have affordable I mean, no, Sandra, it's very easy to get a mortgage now. Interest rates out there are very low. There are so many options out there. So come on in and talk to. But you have affordable housing right now in Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine. You have Phoenix Park, where Gore Development is building. Those are going for 11, 12 million. You know, if you use your NHT, that's probably 5.5
Petal,
or
those are
6.5
finished.
million.
Those are finished long time.
No, they have some
New
no man, they
ones.
have some new face coming up now.
The new face coming up, but they're
I got a
already.
valuation report just this week from Duncox for Phoenix Park. So
Yeah, but I'm saying to you, those are oversubscribed.
oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
right. So, but there are new developments coming on in
Right.
all over the island, as
Mhm.
as Dwayne mentioned earlier, right? But what I also want to share with the viewers tonight, it's important to make that sacrifice. One situation that stands out in my mind, a couple of years ago, a couple came to rent a property. The man was in his 60s and the lady, she was in her late 50s, and they were renting a property. Now, the challenge is, at that age, when you might be getting pension soon, it's difficult. It's difficult. And so I'll say to people, make the sacrifice now. If it means you have to start out with a 1-bedroom, with a studio, whatever it is, but start. That's what is important, right? What you find, a lot of persons, they live in the expensive apartment, rent it, and for many years they live this lifestyle. And then the golden years, as we like to call it, is like they're living worse than ever. So my takeaway from this to everyone: make the sacrifice now, start somewhere, and guess what? One day you'll live in the dream house, but the first house will not be the dream house.
Will not necessarily.
Not
be
necessarily.
The dream house. Yes. And they can call AS James at
the office number 876-754-0043 in Kingston. Montego Bay is 940-3052, and our new branch in Falmouth, Trelawney, 996-4611. Our course, www.asjamesrealtors.com, our website. You can reach us. And I just want to add, I'm happy to say this is one of the few companies that offer the full service, Sandra. So if you need real estate sales, you need property to rent, if you need property to value, property management, auctioneering, this company covers it all.
Awesome sauce. Awesome. Dwayne.
Pardon me if I repeat anything Andrew says. I'm not copying, I'm emphasizing. And I'm sure that the persons who come after me will echo my sentiments. But I can't stress enough, and this is where we all started, the importance of research. It's possible, but you won't know how possible it is unless you've done that research. And many times some person said to me, Mr. Berbick, may I try to find a house and I can't find nothing. I was like, what have you done? I not do nothing. Who have you spoken to? Nobody. So how you know you can't? Do the research. It is possible. Do the research. The NHT is a changing institution. Our policies and our programs are constantly changing. So even if you go to the NHT last year, if you come this year, there may be a new policy change that stands to benefit you. We are constantly changing. I'm happy to say I work at an organization that's responsive. And no, we probably don't change some of the policies as quick as you would like. Some of them have legal implications and they're not so easily changed. But policies are constantly changing. Andrew said this one, start with what you can afford. Real estate appreciates in value. There's no loss in buying any type of real estate. And explore the options outside of buying. Probably can buy land and do construction. If you have land in your family, convert that into housing. And the NHD has a lovely product. I know I'm wrapping up, but I'm throwing this one. It's our cluster policy, which allows, say, me alone, my 6.5 can't get me what I would want in the area I would want. But I can pool with Kameika, Petal, Andrew, and Sandra. All of us come together to find a piece of land, we subdivide it, and we build on it. And we build our own little cluster of what we would like. That's also an option. So explore the options outside of buying and make your NHD contributions. If you haven't, I can't help you if you're not an NHD contributor. And if you are a current one, check with us to make sure that your NHD contributions are up to date. And finally, again, talk to somebody. You see the full gamut of persons we have here. You have an attorney, you have a mortgage, what's the correct term? A mortgage financier. I'm giving you that term tonight, that title tonight, Petal, a mortgage financier. You have your realtor, and you have an information person over here. And also I represent a mortgage finance institution. And we have, I'm going to call you a public interest, public affairs, guru. Sandra, talk to somebody, talk to anybody, see what exists, have that conversation and see how you can move from dream to reality.
Absolutely. JN, what do you think now?
All right. Okay. So my takeaway is, Sandra, I can't overemphasize with the audience and my clients and my members when they come in. It's very important to save, right? Plan ahead is very important. You can't get up today and say you want to buy a house tomorrow, but then you're gonna buy this big car. Nothing is wrong with buying a big car, but what is your priority now? Is it that you want to buy a house now, or you want to invest in a car now, right? So it's not even an investment in a car, because the car is going to depreciate in value. Are you going to buy a consumer good? You ever hear some persons talk about sucking salt through wood spoon? It means that you're going to make the sacrifice. Nothing is gratifying than taking your own key and going through your own door. You know, nobody knocking on your door for the rent every month. So that kind of delayed gratification, saving, looking ahead is very, very important. I can't overemphasize it. A lot of persons want the house now, but they're not willing. They're not willing to make the sacrifice now to get what they want. So anything that you want, you have to sacrifice, right? You have to get pre-approved. I can't overemphasize that too much. You cannot start looking to buy a home and you don't know where. You don't know where you can start your search. You don't know if it's Kingston, you don't know if it's St. Catherine, you don't know if it's Falmouth, you don't know because you have not gone to get pre-approved to know where you are. No, you cannot get pre-approved and then you're going to take out more loans. Because the moment you get pre-approved and you're going to take out additional loans, you would have now shortchanged yourself for that property that you would have been pre-approved for. The pre-approval is only lasts for 3 months. Now, if you're pre-approved today and you go and take out a 2020 Benz, a 200,000 payment, that has gone into the pre-approved amount that you would have been pre-approved last month. Right. So so there goes your priority. You pre-approve yourself today, but then tomorrow you're going to change your car. Right. I always say you can't live in the car. You can't live in the car now. You can live in the house. Right. And some persons sell the car to buy the house because
and the values as you drive it off.
Right. It starts to drop. There you go. So it comes back to prioritizing. So you can't get pre-approved today. Right, and then you're going now down to Andrew to start to make an offer, but tomorrow you're gonna take out this big car, or this big unsecured loan, or run up your credit card bill. It doesn't work that way. So you have to prioritize. You have to keep your debts down as much as possible. Right, you have to save. You have to do your pre-approval, and you have to research. Now, if you're someone who loves your own space, you love your own like a backyard, then don't go looking for an apartment. You're going to be miserable, right? If you don't like to live with people around you, if you like pets, don't go look for an apartment, right? If you live in Kingston and you work in St. Catherine or you work out of town, look for somewhere that suits you and where your children go to. Well, now we have online school, but you have to look at what your likes are, what your tastes are, and you search within that and those parameters, right? So you have to be realistic. Do your research. Always get your attorney. I always say to my members, ensure you have your own attorney, because your own attorney have your interest at heart. Before you sign any sale agreement, ensure that you have a valuation in hand, ensure you have a surveyor's report in hand, because you don't want to be buying into something that you can't sell back, right? It has encroachments on it. It have breach of restricted covenants there. So those are my takeaways for my audience tonight.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And last but not by no means least, Mrs. Fullerton, Delissa, I know you're an excellent wrap-up person, so must round out everything now, Miss Cam.
That must be about an hour, no more than. Everybody has said the same thing, so I'm going to leave you with the thing. Plan and research. Do your research, but don't be daunted. You don't have to do it alone. You have two excellent professionals. One absolutely free, your realtor, like Andrew, or my excellent team, allow me to plug at Remax Elite. The process. You don't need to know, you don't need to spend hours a day trying to understand the market. We as realtors wearing that hat are trained. We know the market. And you do not pay a cent. So do your research with your realtor. And then plan. And of course, with your attorney, you need to understand what you're getting into. And then plan. So it's that simple. Research and plan. In your plan, like with everything else, you make necessary sacrifices that was said before. I wish I could sing, but because I can't, I'm going to leave you lyrics that you need to look up. If you've never heard of Yaksta and his song Ambition, go and find it. The man says, acres over markets. Get your house car. Farming over flossing. Do things that will earn more than showing off. Investment over brothing. A broth, I pronounce that right, broth? Inheritance for misses, you know, those may all right being mean. That's an excellent song that stresses where your priority should be. Investment over brothing. Nobody with a show off thing, things that are not going to live long, things that are not going to add value to your life. Plan and in so doing, you can earn not only your first home, but your second home, your investment property, your overseas property. The list is endless, but you have to plan. It's not about spending a lot of time, you know, on social media, spending empty hours on things that are not going to help you. I think COVID has helped us all to realize that these material things really don't mean much. You're spending most time now in your home.
Mm-hmm.
That is comfortable. So find that comfort and do what you can, plan and research so you can own that home or the investment property that you've always dreamed of.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am internally indebted to you all. I mean, I don't think my viewers could ask for anything more. I mean, this was like really class, like go to class student business, because this we got all information needed. And for those of you who want individual breakdown of the information, you know where to go. Where can we find you, Kameika?
Well, of course, you can find me at Remax or main of Kingston at Business Center, and also in Montego Bay. Can call 876-83874. And my main office is as well as I have the office at Winchester Business Center. I My direct contact number, 876-399-3011. If I'm not able to take the call, it will automatically go to my office, but I love the personal touch. So feel free to call or WhatsApp, which is excellent for me. I may not be able to answer your call, but I will respond to your WhatsApp. 876-399-3011.
Thank you. I am full. And I'm full because I am working. I mean, for every program I say it at the end of my program. I am working towards the 2030 vision of Jamaica being the place of choice to live, work, and raise our families. Owning your own home is possible. It is possible. It is possible. I want you to not waste the information given to you tonight. I want you to start moving. As Steve Harvey would say, jump. Jump, start where you are. That's my biggest takeaway from tonight. Start where you are. Research, and go to the experts. Go and sit down or go online, or I don't know. How is the best way they can reach you now at JN? Is it online?
We are on the World Wide Web. If you go there, you'll see a host of client relationship specialists, mortgage specialists who can help you to own your own home. We're giving a credit card now when you get your home. So come on into JN Bank. You can contact me at petalj@jnbank.com or 878-4743.
And Dwayne, is the same thing for NHT? Because I know because of social distancing, is it online mainly?
Yes, Sandra, definitely. So you can request your eligibility letters, pre-approval letters online. You can reach us at wehere@nht.gov.jm. We're on all social media platforms. We're very active there. We have a branch in every parish. We have marketing officers in every parish. We have an excellent customer service team. You can always reach us via phone, 876-929-6500 or 888-CALL-NHT.
Well, I don't think anybody have any excuse after tonight. That's my personal view. You have no excuse. So once again, thank you, Petal. Thank you, Kameika. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you, Andrew. Folks, it has been an awesome night. When you have some more time, sit down, watch this program over and over and get moving. Action, not a bag of mouth. Start saving one cocoa full basket. Start saving towards your own home and also leaving a legacy for your children, right? That is also, you need to remember, if you help your kids, your kids can help their kids, and so forth and so on. So have a wonderful night. We're going to meet next week, same place, same time, 8 p.m. sharp, with another interesting topic. Please have a fantastic week. Stay safe, social distance, wear your mask, right?
Yes.
So that we don't have to go in any further lockdown, right?
And you get home safe.
Get home safe. If you have any problems, Andrew, call me. So thanks again, everyone. Good night. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity, Sandra. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
The National Housing Trust brings you improved services online at any time, any place. Find out how much you can borrow. Check your contributions. Apply for refunds. Check mortgage. Make payments and much more. That's NHT Online. Download at the App Store and Google Play Store or log on to online.nht.gov.jm. The National Housing Trust Online.
Here's how JN Bank DYM Express can help you relax in the comfort of your own home sooner. Get started. Meet your loan officer. Get pre-approved. Check documents. Complete and submit your loan application. And soon you can move in thanks to JN Bank DYM Express, 30 days or less. Let's talk.